fairly new in terms of the explosion that we see. How is it affecting us and how are we responding as a profession? The whole country coming down on you. So it's an incredibly tense environment.
South Africa has turned a deadly force to fight the poachers.
This year we know that they've lost more than 171. That's more than...
One of the things I would really like us to consider through the SABA Rhino Response Fund is to see if we can equip an ambulance that Johan and Gerard and many others are working on to give us better diagnostic capacity. I know they need a DR machine, I know they need ultrasonography. From out of the darkness of the night, they cry out to us. We have sworn to speak for those who cannot speak for themselves. We have committed to be their mouthpiece, and we need to find effective ways to make their desperate plea heard. Thank you all for listening.
We are also presently reviewed by the Department of Environmental Affairs and make it very difficult for us to perform our functions. And lastly, be aware of it and support your association and support your council. There is an ongoing court case right now against the association. And the reason why? Because the farmers would like us to free these dangerous drugs, to make it even more readily available. And we just cannot afford it.
Ask you to please support this. It's only 20 Rand for one of these brushes with the wristband, and that all the money from that goes straight into that Veterinary Rhino Rescue Fund. If you're interested in that, you're welcome to talk to us at the SABA stand, or you can contact me directly.
Wildlife group there. They're very interesting. They've got a publication on rhinos as game ranch animals, conservation of rhinos on private land, African elephants as game ranch animals, cheetahs, sable antelope. There was a symposium on wildlife rehabilitation. They also have a publication on capture care management. And also was part of the Foot and Mouth campaign in the UK. He returned to South Africa at the end of 2001 and he started Brothers Safaris down here in the Eastern Cape, which does mainly focused on veterinary clinical wildlife work. He completed an MSc in veterinary tropical diseases in 2009.
I thought I would be very clever and suggest a very simple topic which I was sure I could handle, and when I started to put it together, boy did I regret that. It's a huge topic, as most of you will know, and no matter what I've done, I've probably ended up with at least double the amount of slides you're meant to have for presentation of this length. So I apologize if we're going to shoot through some of them a little bit quickly. Good capture team, or with national parks if they permit it, to just see how things are done and how they're done properly, so we understand that. And part of this process in deciding which of the two it is to look at, for the most part, we're working with 2 to 3 mils at most in a dart, and as soon as we go over that, they become very cumbersome, they become very hair-spread. So working with colleagues who put darts in their top pocket after taking them out with needles here, and then we get busy and we're doing things that I'm just cringing. I'm reaching for a bottle of naltrexone all the time. So please just be really careful with that for your safety. The rest of the ataxia, and we want them to get through that. In some cases they're not going to. With experience we will be able to say this animal's going to need a top-up dose. If you're going to top up, we normally give a full dose. Again, that comes with experience. And the cost has come down a whole lot too. So when we're reversing animals that are valuable, why take the risk? In my opinion, give them a pure antagonist and get them up, get them safe. You know, if anyone says they renot or there's a problem, you can stick your head up and say... And he's continuing his talk on the management of predators.
And Robert Jones and all sorts of stuff like that. Stay away from stuff like that. Stay away. All right, nutrition in captive carnivores. Nutrition's not right, then you're going to get diseases, you're going to have immunity problems, the proteins are going to be wrong, everything will be wrong, and so on. And that's the way we do it. Also make sure that your staff know how and what to feed me. I'm mentioning calcium separately to calcium phosphate ratios, and there's a big reason, and then directly after that, cholecalciferol vitamin D. All this you can throw in one basket and take them out. At a 6-month-old cheetah, more than 3 or 4 millimeters, has got vitamin A deficiency. It's almost pathognomonic. I haven't seen anything else that does that. That's an easy way to diagnose vitamin A in cheetahs.
It's known to many of you and has been in the industry for a very long time. Brendan completed a BSc in zoology and did his honours at Tuckies and finished in 1993. He then graduated from Onderstepoort in 1999 and spent 6 months in the UK in exotic animal practice.
As a result of that, parallel to that, I think ecotourism has also started to increase as well, particularly over the last 2 years. Johan, I think he was just saying how much better Shamwari is doing in the last 2 years. And I think as a result of this, we're starting to see these good fine instrumentation. Right? But what was required here was to get all those fragments out. And traditionally, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but we've got to split that tusk in order to get it out. Okay, unless it has some form of pathological fracture there, where you can actually manipulate it and move it out in one piece. You actually got to split that tusk up into numerous pieces and take out those fragments bit by bit. Okay, and it takes a bit of effort to do that, but it is possible. Okay, this was. During the process as well, it helps for someone to have a bit smaller hands, because you've got to get in there and you've got to go and feel around and see if you can find all those fragments, right? And then give it a good flushing out. This procedure takes up to 3 hours, so you've got to keep these animals down for 3 to 4 hours on this procedure.
He was a state vet at Skukuza from 1978 to 2012 and reluctantly retired due to government regulations, if I may add that. And was still doing a great job there for all of us, and currently is the author of 81 published articles and 12 book chapters.
Milking a cow, and there's a little calf, and here's somebody either delivering it or cleansing a cow. So I think that's the first veterinarian. That must have been several thousand BC. Let's look at some definitions of epidemiology, and one of the reasons there are a lot of complexities when you're studying disease epidemiology in free-ranging wildlife. Much vectors, in other words, mainly our ticks, and the specific diseases that they may transmit. Indirect vector borne by winged vectors, like in horse sickness, Rift Valley fever. Or are there multiple transmission routes like with TB, where you get aerosol transmission by ingestion and percutaneous transmission. And we found that the infection had spread just up to the Sabi River, nothing north of the Sabi River. And then we continued to monitor this disease while we were trying to work out and think out control mechanisms. And by 1998 it had spread up to there. So that's 8 years, 2000, 2003, 2006, and this is the Mycobacterium tuberculosis complex, the ones that we are interested in, the ones that generally infect mammals. In material, you can see all the acid fast on Zeal-Nielsen stain, all our little red guys. So that's highly infectious material that is coming out of those abscesses. What is kudu feeding behavior? They are browsers. They are very partial to the leaves of various thorn trees, such as acacias and buffalo thorn or ziziphus. In the dry season, they may congregate around preferred browse trees, and they push their heads between the branches, and the males pull down branches with their horns to access the prime browse.
Waar die mens van sy vrag kan laat rus. Waar seisoene oor lewe en dood beslis. Waar voetspore in die stof met snel weer verbind. Sy is die moederland en sy sal sterf vir haar kind. Daar is iets in Afrika, jy daar is God, jy moet net vra. hoog kan sien hier in Afrika. Daar is iets in Afrika, as ek en jy mekaar moet dra. Tot hoog, hoog op 'n berg hier in Afrika. As die winter oggendmis oor die laaglande streel, en tonele van hoogtes ver aan 'n droom afspeel, proe jy die vuur van woestynland in jou mond. Door die teerpad in 'n groot stad hier uit Afrika grond. Daar is iets in Afrika, daar is van